Hello, and welcome to episode 399 of Prog Review. And today I'm talking about Pink Floyd's Momentary Lapse of Reason. Little Brian suggested this. I thought that's a good idea because we've got Mr. Gilmour. He's got a new album out next month, so I'm not saying that this is another Gilmour solo album, but you get me gist. It's kind of a get you all jizzed up for it, all juiced up and ready for Rattle That Lock. Anyway, this is Momentary Lapse of Reason. It's the 13th, unlucky for some, studio album by Pink Floyd, or the entity named Pink Floyd. It's not Pink Floyd without Roger Waters. It's not Pink Floyd without Syd Barrett. We could argue that until the cows come in, but 'tis Pink Floyd. It has the name, so therefore it must be true. I love this. This is from like the Oh By The Way box set. It's a lovely little look. It's just like the album. Anyway, it was the 7th of September 1987. My goodness, and I remember it because I was there. I remember it. I remember it well, and I remember being quite excited because it seemed to come out of nowhere. Because there was lots in the paper about the legal wranglings between Roger Waters and the rest of the band, and there was various barbs being launched back and forth, and then this appeared, and it was like, wow, new Pink Floyd album. Didn't see that one coming, and I was 16 at the time. 16. I would have just been starting my A-levels. Yeah, that sounds about right. In fact, that would have been the week I was starting my A-levels. And I was at school when the day it came out, and I asked my mum, I gave my mum my pocket money and said, look, could you get me the new Pink Floyd album? And I expected her to buy me the CD version, but she came back with the LP instead. So I was a little bit miffed. I wanted the CD, all clean, and the CD, remember that everyone was into the CD, but I got the LP instead. I sold the LP years ago. Kind of regret it now. But yes, I had the LP of it, and I have fond memories. I was very forgiving of it because, again, you were like that back in the day. It was like a drought, you see, and so you took what you were given, like a hungry tramp looking at the window of a restaurant, watching the diners eating their steak and chips. You just dribble, and so I don't know if that's the right analogy, but I was very forgiving at it at the time. Of course, as time's gone on, because there was a whole media thing, and then there was the live tour, and then there was the Delicate Sound of Thunder, and it was a great big beast of a thing back in the day, and it was you had to be there. And so when we put on we'll take off the rose tinted glasses and we'll have a look at it in the cold light of day. Really, it really is a David Gilmour album, because I don't think Richard Wright appears on it, not until the very late stages. He was kind of coaxed out of retirement, and there were some images. See like that. There was another image going around where Richard Wright was kind of superimposed in with them, using, he didn't have Photoshop in those days, but they had to actually use proper photo trickery. My God, can you imagine that? It would have taken weeks, I tells you. But it starts off with Signs of Life, which is an instrumental, and it kind of lulls you into the idea of it being, it's kind of like kind of nods back to Wish You're Here and that kind of thing. It's an interesting way of beginning an album. There's lots of sound effects, rowing, because there's the reference to the man rowing the boat and everything, and then we launch into Learning to Fly, which is a pretty cool. I quite like it. It was one of the singles from the album, and that coupled with the video of the time of the Native American, running across the fields and launching himself off the mountaintop was a very iconic thing. It was doing the rounds on the old MTV and iconic stuff. And I quite like it. I quite like it as a song. And again, the two hits from the album I've got a lot of time for. But yeah, Learn to Fly. It's not, it's just. I mean, is it Pink Floyd? It owes more to Gilmour's solo career and than anything else. But it's a nice, pleasant, it's not going to upset anyone. Pop song, and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with a pop song. Pop songs are great. Remember that. Let's not be snobs. This is followed by The Dogs of War. And for me, quality takes a nosedive quite suddenly. I didn't like this one at the time. It was just a real clunker, And again, I don't know if this is Gilmour trying to be political or I don't know, but it just felt really. It felt really, really, really a bit of a clunker. So I don't like it. And then the saxophone comes in and I lose the will to live. But don't worry, One Slip follows that. Now, One Slip is Phil Manzanera. He co-wrote that one. Who? Phil Manzanera is one of my favourite guitar players because he was from the Roxy Music and he's got a pretty good solo career as well. And so, I didn't realise it at the time because you don't necessarily. Well, I know some people pour over the credits, but I didn't realise that Phil Manzanera was co-writer until I think I got the CD version years later. And yeah, I really like One Slip. It's probably my hit of the album. It's got a really good bass line by, I think it's Tony Levin is handling the bass on this. And I kind of like the funky undertones that are there. And this is followed by a more, again, it kind of, that's the kind of, that's the undulating pace of the album. This is followed by On the Turning Away, which again, it's not too bad. It's the holding your lighters up in the air moment if you're at the tour. It's pleasant enough. I know it's him trying to do it's not quite a ballad, but it's kind of a sing along, kind of thing. And it's Gilmour's voice that I really like on this one. It's very reminiscent of, Comfortably Numb and that kind of thing. So I'll give that one a pass. But then again, quality goes downhill again with yet another movie, Round and Around, which is 7 minutes 28 seconds of utter dullness. Oh boy. And then we have a new machine where we hear Gilmour's synthesised gurglings. And you just think, is this meant to be like, again, another nod to Welcome to the Machine? And I don't know, but I just can't stand it. And it's a shame because you've got part one and part two, and they form a little sandwich between Terminal Frost, which is, again, it's another instrumental, but it's quite a good one. And I think Terminal Frost it should have been the last track on the record. I think the record should have played out with Terminal Frost, but instead they decide to end it with Sorrow, which I can't stand. It's another dull, and it's a real downer of a track to end the album on. A real plodding downer, and I just don't like it. And that's why I think they should have swapped Terminal Frost, because again, I quite like that. It's a nice, pleasant, instrumental, and seeing as it began with Signs of Life, makes sense to end it with a. That's just the way I am. You know what I'm like. I always want more. Again, I was very forgiving of it at the time. Nowadays, I like bits of it, and bits of it I don't like. It's a game of two halves. I mean, for me it's half an album. It's because it is literally half an album of it that I'd want to listen to, and the rest of it I really don't have any time for. And that's a shame. it doesn't work as well as, say, the Division Bell. I mean, again, but the Division Bell suffers the old cram as much onto a CD issue. But yeah, it's certainly interesting. Again, it's an album of its time, and you had to be there. And again, it's really easy to be dismissive of it when you weren't there, or But it was. That's why. I mean, again, if I was rating this back when it came out, I'd probably give it a solid 4. But nowadays, that 4 is probably going to turn into 2 Dogs of War out of 5. That's 2 Dogs of War out of 5, because it's, like I say, it's half an album. Because half an album I like, and half of it is just a dirge and a bit boring. So and that's a shame. But it's there for Learning to Fly, One Slip, and Terminal Frost, Turning Away. Those tracks I can live with. The rest, you shrug. So anyway, that's my review. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. So let's do the wind-up. My name's Darren, like I've been talking about A Momentary Lapse of Reason by Pink Floyd. It was at 1987, all those years ago. God blimey. And that's it. Only one more thing to say, and by now you know what that is, and that is Prog on.